I'd like to welcome everybody out for this budget workshop today. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excuse me. Approval of the draft agenda. Does any councilman have any issues with the agenda today?
I do not.
No.
No.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the draft agenda?
So moved.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. First up on our budget is our street, stormwaters, infrastructure, sanitation, and environment. Mr. Matt, you can come on up to the.
Streets. 12.
Miss England, do we need to wait just a minute till she gets in here with her friend? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. No problem.
We're waiting.
Lost one already.
I can't do that.
And while we're waiting for Tara, with the streets department, we didn't make any changes from the last time on this page. The one thing that has been added is the contract that we have for that department, which should be the page labeled Public Works. It just has the annual tank lease, the work order system, the text.my.gov, and then the storage that we use for equipment. Is the only contracts that are associated with the streets and public works department. Everything is still included in this budget with the capital items that they requested of the load impact.
Lisa. Mike's not here. He stepped out.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he had left us.
Just a point of information, this, I call it the square sheet. It's got boxes for each department. Has this changed? Do I need to compare it with the other one? Okay.
Oh.
Didn't we just, weren't those in our boxes?
There's new boxes, but I think that
No, I mean, this handout, is it the same thing that was put in our box?
No.
no.
Okay. I'm just trying to get rid of some paper.
So we add paper.
You know not.
And no holes in it either.
This is going away.
All right, Miss England, you can carry on.
Okay.
It looks like it.
So in the streets department, as I was saying, we haven't removed anything. The two capital expenditure items still remain in this budget. The $250,000 for the load impact for the beach trash, and then the $159,000 for the backhoe. This does include the additional personnel that we had talked with you about for the general maintenance person and the custodial person. And then those are 2 full-time and then 2 additional part-time for those same jobs. Yes, sir.
Got a question on the load and pack. You've got in here the maintenance. Is there any maintenance contract on the load and pack?
Yes, I had mentioned that last 2 weeks ago when we were in here. The different services that they have They can come out once a year, twice a year, three times a year, um, for preventative maintenance and services. Um, different prices on all of them, of course, ranging from $1,700 to $5,200 throughout that year.
It's like à la carte.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is.
The other question I have is, you obviously have seen this operate in South Carolina.
Yes, sir.
Have they had any experience regarding driving that rig up and down the sand with the salt and everything else?
I've had personal experience doing it because I was the one on the machine. It worked out well when we got out there in January. Very soft sand, ruts and everything, and it maneuvered very well. Same with the kind of sand that we have here. So I wouldn't foresee any problems with that
Would
on our beach.
just last question.
Mhm.
I'm interested in what was their extent of the maintenance on that vehicle because of the sand and water? Is it more frequent? Is it, what would be your guess? What did they give you? Did you ask that?
It's a great question. Now they have their own mechanic fleet or fleet mechanic. So they do a lot of this stuff in-house. I personally didn't ask how often they have to service everything. I mean, obviously we would keep it clean like they do. Basic maintenance, greasing, washing every single day that it's out there, to keep the salt and the rust away from it best we could.
Mike, to bootstrap onto what Matt's saying, I was out there with he and Vicky that day and had a very detailed demonstration, and Matt was able to get up on and actually operate the vehicle. I've got videos of it. One of the things that they did say is that they thought it was strongly recommended to do what they did, which is get a galvanized mainframe for the undercarriage, in which I believe we're looking at it as well. They said with the salt intrusion on the beach that the manufacturer highly recommended that.
So I may have missed exactly what you said. Is there a maintenance line in here for that piece of equipment?
I don't believe there is one on that actually. I believe the 250 is just for the machine itself.
Okay.
Which, with it being, if everything goes to plan for us and it's kept in the budget, July 1st we would order it. It would probably come in hopefully around Christmas, the beginning of the new year. I wouldn't foresee us even needing maintenance that first year anyway. Most of the time, good equipment like that, it's in very good condition as long as you keep it right. So,
But you would do
Follow-
preventative maintenance yourself.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I see a $20,000 item here under streets. I don't know if, I know there's several things that Matt and Vicky work towards. So we have stormwater, we have streets, we have sanitation.
And
I
that
believe-
equipment line was increased by 8,000
I see that.
this year as
I was
well.
going to
Yeah.
note that. It was 20,000 instead of the, an increase of $8,000. Ms. Heino, thank you.
Just quickly now.
The backhoe, that's it. The backhoe. Do you have a maintenance agreement when you order something like a backhoe with it? It comes, or we just deal with maintenance with a backhoe? We can handle that, or what?
So, a couple weeks ago, I misspoke. The new back. I reached out to the folks that gave me the quote on this particular backhoe. You get a 1-year warranty with the new backhoe, unlimited hours, and they will service it. Whatever you need, take care of. After that, it becomes our baby to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
We have local businesses around that if it's something quick that we need that we can do in-house, we can go and get that. I mean, they're within a 10-mile radius. Any bigger issues, depending on where we get this from, Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, we're able to send that up there, or they're able to send out a mechanic to our shop.
Usually with something like that, if something's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong in the first year, and that's why we do that, and that's good. That's good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine.
I don't have any more questions on this.
I'm good.
Mike, you got anything else?
No,
I'm moving on.
For his stormwater department. Number what?
13.
There were no changes made to the stormwater department either. And as you are aware, we've got a couple of stormwater projects that will be coming up in the 25-26 budget that we are in the process of having engineered now. As soon as we send out the RFP for those projects, then we will be bringing you those contracts to award at that time, which would include the budget amendment to go along with that project for the call.
Do we have a ballpark as to what we're looking at for coming out of this fiscal year with a budget amendment for stormwater?
Last I heard, a rough estimate is probably about $400,000.
And that's all part of the $5 million 10-year plan that we blessed 6 years ago,
Mhm.
and we're ahead of schedule on.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
question, note on here saying waiting on pricing from contractors regarding the infrastructure repair and maintenance, I think. Yeah. Is any response on those as far as waiting for pricing from the contractors?
That is the stormwater.
Okay, all right.
We always budget some money because of emergency situations that would have to be taken care of. But for the big projects, those go out for bid and then come to you to award the contracts.
Okay.
And that was back before we had the philosophy of having a separate account that we would set aside as a capital fund.
Right.
Sure.
Anything else stormwater related?
Good.
Oh, I do have
Wait.
one question. Sorry. Well, I know we were going to reapply for some grants that had to do with resiliency, and that I know the 40th Street, I'll call it, it's not really a living shoreline, but the 40th Street regrading of 40th Street at North Shore West. Does that enter into any of our thinking when it comes to stormwater? Because I know we were looking at maybe saffle baffles at some of the canals as we discharged. We've done a very good job of directing the water from our streets into the waterway and marshes, where before it just kind of hung around and created a problem. Now that we've been efficient at doing that, the next step is to try and do something with the sediment that is being then discharged into the waterways and canals. Do we have a plan? Does McGill have a plan for reapplying for those grants?
We are looking into the projects that the RCCP identified to see if any of those would score high enough to qualify for those grants. The Saffle Baffle first time around did not score well. So we are still looking at the 40th Street. As you remember, we were granted the everything but the actual construction of it. We received a grant for each aspect, each phase of that. So we are looking to reapply
For that?
for that 40th
Okay.
Street living shoreline.
Good, excellent.
Mhm.
Thank you. Just came to mind because we're talking about stormwater.
Are we going to talk about personal changes all in one place, other place? Personnel?
Personnel.
Yeah.
We can talk about it however you want. You want to talk about it department-wide, we can go that way, or we can do it town-wide.
I would think department-wide. So, DPW has personnel requests. I think we
Mhm.
That was
yes,
important.
explain those, justify those.
Kind of go. So,
It's probably too far
What
away
is-
from you.
one of the things that I can speak to on that is that we did have the RFPs come out. We had one that was not complete, and another one that came in higher than it would be for the. It's actually it was a bit difficult to get the total cost of what the cleaning services would have been just for that, but the total cost would be more than the employee plus the part-time for the cleaning custodial services.
Okay.
So in this budget, the contract service that we had budgeted is removed. And so the custodial position is in there.
Okay, so
With
we,
the contract service removed in the
Okay.
current budget that you have.
okay, so you've
Nothing
got,
has been changed at
you've
this
got two-
point, but
you've
in
got-
the budget it is.
yeah, you've got 2 full-time positions, 2 part-time positions. 1 full-time and part-time for custodial services, and that's what you're talking about now.
Mhm.
It's less expensive for us to hire the people, keep them, keep everything going, basically have the capability 24/7 when it's needed, especially on the weekends in the summertime.
Correct.
And that's cheaper than contracting out than what we've been doing.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, or less expensive.
According to the completed proposal that we got.
Okay. And then the second, we have a request for an additional full-time person for maintenance and for a part-time personnel for maintenance. And sort of, can you explain why we need those? Yeah, Matt?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so facilities maintenance. So we went through, Vicky actually, this text my gov is a pain in the butt for us, but it's great for the citizens. So we went through, she printed off all last year, summertime and everything. I just went through, and there were 25 text my govs over the weekends throughout last summer.
Yeah.
All right. That's not including, we get calls from the police and fire department whenever they're out there, citizens talking to them, showers, whatever the case may be.
And I regularly let you know when I see something.
Correct.
That's not rocket
So, so the fact is that, we come in during the summertime, we do our trash, stick around for a little bit. Our schedule is going to change a little bit this year. That we'll have people there for more of the day. But after we leave, the contractor may not come in until 3, 4, 5 o'clock to clean the restrooms and everything else. Well, they leave and there's still issues maybe that arise. We get called back in. So these full-time and part-time employees, the full-time would be here the majority of the day. The part-time would be here 4 to 8 or so, however we depend on the schedule, to where there's always someone here, depending on what the case may be, as far as, clogged toilets, broken showers, soap, doesn't really matter. And
That's beyond custodial. The custodial is the cleaning, right? Not the repair?
correct.
Okay.
Correct. The custodial would be also obviously maintaining all the facilities, town park, town hall, all that stuff. But the facilities maintenance, they'd be here to take care of any of that stuff. If there's a need that they don't need to be there at the bathrooms, we still are able to use them for walkways, cleaning sand. We're getting calls every single day. Obviously, you guys know, being out there on the beach, that there's sand on the walkways, God forbid. So we are out there trying to clean those as well. If we're not here on the weekend, at least someone is here to
Yeah.
try to maintain that as well.
Yeah.
So we're
So
having,
it's other duties as assigned.
it will be, yes.
Yeah. And that includes the efforts that you have when you're picking up debris, you're repairing things around town,
Cleaning,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Any kind of
patching up roads and doing stuff like
potholes,
that.
signs, anything that pertains to our department, they would also be adjoined with.
So that takes your department consists of you and Vicky and 5 other full-time right now.
Correct.
That'll bring it up to 7 to handle it, and then adding 2 part-time.
Yes. Sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir.
I don't have any other questions.
Public infrastructure. Do now.
What number?
Beginning. 7.
Sanitation. Planning.
We're at tab 7.
Yeah, tab 7. Thank you.
This is where the placeholder for the engineer services is for any projects that we have going on or are come up during the year. The 150,000, like the Main Street engineering and surveying and design work that we're working on right now. We come out of this line item in addition to any of the other projects that are going on. Everything else pretty much remained the same. In addition, you have the contract services sheets
Yep.
for this department as well.
This is where I took out part of the cleaning contract too.
I can't hear you.
This
Sorry.
is where I took out part of the cleaning contract that was in here. The other part is an accommodation tax.
So we've got 150,000 for engineering projects, and you mentioned the Main Street, but other projects that we have, when we do a grant, do we have to do engineering at the beginning to get the information we need?
Mhm.
Okay, so if we do the grant for the walkways, we did the grant for the park,
Right.
those things require engineering. If we go into the RCCP to try to fix 40th Street, even though they've done engineering, they have to do engineering to get more done?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do they have to do any engineering in terms of, the work you have included in here later for upgrading and fixing up town hall? Or is that, okay,
Mhm.
so there's plenty of projects for this engineering to be used?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Is question, is the engineering for parking on the island, that layout, is that a part of this or is that a separate situation?
For the Main Street,
Yes, for Main
Yes.
Street, yes.
it's just a blanket 150,000. There's not necessarily chunks earmarked. It's just, that's the money for engineering.
Okay.
And then we watch that line like a hawk.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No,
I'm good.
Come on. Sanitation.
Sanitation.
14.
14. Again, you have the contract services list.
And basically sanitation is our refuse, it's our dumpster, it's, does a part of the landfill cost, does that get absorbed into accommodations tax because the refuse is coming off of the beach?
The sanitation is our leaf and limb contract, and it is part of the landfill, and it's our recycling.
Okay, thank you.
And during the last budget meeting, we had the conversation about the leaf and limb contract and the name storm versus declaration, emergency declarations. I am in the process of gathering all that information. Right now, the town ordinance does specify that for storm debris, professional landscapers are allowed to place it in the right of way for us to remove.
Only not
In a
every week, but
Name in a storm or a named storm.
when we've declared it.
So I'll be bringing all that to you for the May 5th meeting for you all to discuss to see if you would like to change that at all. Our contract with Leaf and Limb does include pickup for that purpose.
Well, how can they bid on something that is so undeterminable in scope?
We do it as a percentage of the total contract, and then when we're in that event, we adjust as needed.
And that would be, excuse me, go ahead, Mike, you threw your hand up.
I just question, if we continue with the storm and having landscape contractors putting to the curb or not, if we decide to change that, how do we know whether they put it to the curb or the property owners put it to the curb?
We guess.
Well, during those events, we have a lot of feet on the ground and are watching all the roads, and we are the initial cut and push, so we know pretty much what debris was fallen that we had to move, and then we're looking at people's properties for damages, trees on homes, and things of that nature. So
Sometimes
we have a
can-
good idea of who is doing what.
Sometimes we can tell if it would have taken a backhoe to drag the tree out to the street, then we probably suspect the guy and gal didn't do it with their lawnmower. And we also could offer no, I won't say that.
No. Don't.
We're going to try not to have any of those events this year.
Oh, is that the plan?
That's the plan.
Oh, okay, good.
Now that the bridge is open,
Now that the bridge is open,
everything will go well.
it's all good.
And does Noah know that we're not having any storms here? Okay,
I'll email them later
okay,
today.
thank you.
Tell
Mention the
weathermen.
outside.
Okay.
Environmental. was the
Yeah,
next
I had
one.
nothing on sanitation.
No.
More.
We moved to the environment protection.
Environmental? Okay.
And then with environmental, I'm sorry, the only contract that
Where
we
was that?
have for environmental is
15.
the
pond.
ponds
That's Stillwater,
and
right?
Stillwater, right?
That's with mostly the lakes and the other ponds.
Just the lakes and the 10 ponds.
And that's a new budget item for 25, 26?
No, I
No.
just moved it out of the public infrastructure
Oh, okay.
into here.
Okay.
Kind of break that up out of that one department so that it was into the more specific departments to make it more of a transparency of where they should be placed.
Mhm.
Because everything was kind of dumping into that one. It got too full and needed to be into their departments better.
Okay, good.
And digressing just a little bit, but the reports coming from Stillwater are indicating that these treatments are working over
Yes,
time,
sir, actually,
particularly in the Twin Lakes area.
I met with him yesterday, and the East Lake is looking really well. The West Lake needs some work, and he will be hitting the West Lake hard this year to get it under control. All the aerators and the fountains have been put in all the other ponds that we had projected, and they are working well. We will be looking to do some engineering and some analysis on the ponds behind us to determine if they need to be dredged, or there's some of them that are ankle deep back here that are going to need some work so that we can maintain that stormwater system working properly.
I noticed last year we budgeted $8,000 for mosquito, I believe. No, department supplies. Never mind. I got the wrong line item. Never mind.
For the mosquito briquettes.
Mhm.
I got the wrong line item.
We do, this is the budget where we include the 50,000 that just gets us started if we do have a storm. I was on a phone conference with FEMA yesterday, closing out our Tropical Storm Debbie claim and rolling everything over to the state. And we received a check yesterday for over $12,000 reimbursement of the cost that we incurred for Tropical Storm Debbie.
So if Leaf and Limb flips over to storm, like the storm type of pickup and that aspect, it would also go to this expenditure line instead. So it would move from that leaf and limb where we have it in sanitation, it would move into this expenditure line at that point as well. So that we have it all in one place to make it easier for reporting and knowing exactly what we have for that storm.
Good. I noticed the Tree City USA, that's in line with our, I'm sorry, the tree, tree
City.
board. That's in line with our Tree City USA requirements of $2 per. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Based on the 2020 census.
Thank you.
No more questions? We'll move on to the budget. Budget for the building inspections and planning. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Vicki.
Thank you, man. 16.
That's planning. Inspections is separate, isn't it?
We'll do the building inspection department first, so we can
That's-
let Carrie go back to work.
Inspections is tab 11.
And you have the contract services list for his department. All he's requesting this year is the truck.
So are you still keeping one vacancy that?
A full-time and a part-time.
Okay, and are those in the budget?
They're building the budget.
Okay, but we haven't had the need yet to bring them online.
Not
Okay.
yet. And with everything going on legislation with ETJ, so we're going to just pause until we hopefully get something.
Get some guidance on where we're going,
Exactly.
whether we have ETJs or not.
Exactly.
So that would just revert over to the county inspection responsibility then.
Yes, sir.
That'd be fine.
Yeah, would we be able to contract out to the county to help them? Because it's going to take them a while to be able to handle all of that.
Yeah,
Property.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You know,
Probably don't
you don't
want
want
to
to
go
bite
down
that
that road.
mule.
Yeah.
And as you all are aware, we have the mayor signed the letter of opposition to those House bills for relinquishing ETJs and down zoning. So those have been sent to all of our representatives in Raleigh, and we are watching those closely to see what's going to happen
Yep.
with those.
Do they answer the letters and resolutions and let us know where they stand?
They answer us that they received them.
Okay.
Ms. Anglin, would that also then require some wordsmanship within our UDO where we have like an ETJ representative on the Board of Adjustment? We have an ETJ representative on the Planning Board. 'Cause we would
If
no
those
longer,
bills pass, there will be a lot of amendments to our UDO.
because they would then not participate.
They would not.
Yeah.
They would not. And with the down zoning, it does away with a lot of our ability to regulate certain things.
Future regulations, not necessarily past.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
that's right.
with the new vehicle, the old vehicle's going to public infrastructure,
You're
right?
still planning to go over to Matt. That's correct.
And so just so everybody knows, how do we pay for those new vehicles in that?
There are out of the collections of the inspections department revenue
Okay.
from building permit.
Okay. And what else can we use that revenue for?
For the inspections department, as far as our operating expense and our paying for building inspectors, permitting techs, and myself.
Okay. Can any of that go into our general fund or to other town funds?
It cannot.
It cannot. So all the money that comes in for your department stays in your department.
Stays in our department.
Thank you.
Good.
You have anything else for Carrie?
I'm good.
You good?
Okay.
Thanks.
You need me on the planning side or? Yeah. Thank y'all. Thank you, Mayor Council.
Thank you, Carrie.
Good job, Kerry.
Thanks to John.
We're going to planning next.
Planning.
What was that? We were on.
No,
the-
no, we won't. It's Tuesday.
Planning is 16.
Planning is 16, yeah.
We're good, thanks. Carrie and Ron and Wes and I have all reviewed the planning operation for the last year. This was the first year that we went with a contract planner instead of an actual full-time on-site planner. It worked very well. He was in the office 1 day a week and was available by phone and email for the rest of the time. He met with property owners on whatever they needed to meet for zoning or planning wise. He met with developers, both commercial and residential. We found no hiccups and no downside to that arrangement. It saved the town over $100,000 in money, and we recommend going again with that. There is no cost increase for the planning side. The planning board is looking at doing a rewrite or an update to the land use plan, and that price is included in here for $67,000. And Wes will be meeting with the planning board actually on May 1st at 12 o'clock for anybody who would like to tune in to hear an overview of our current land use plan and where we'd like to take that to in the future.
Lisa, would Ron continue as our contract planner?
Yes.
Okay, he was very responsive. I found him very responsive, very positive, knew his stuff, and I was impressed. I was impressed.
He has over 30 years of experience in planning.
To bootstrap what Mike Hargraves just said, I've sent him text messages or emails. I always send it to you and then CC him. He responds back in 15 minutes. But I would assume he's not on the clock for us when he does that.
A lot of times not.
Thank you, Ron. But he is very responsive.
Yeah.
Some more questions on this?
I don't have any more.
No.
All right. We'll be moving on now. Council, Administration, and Finance.
Number 4.
Yes, sir.
All right. Town council budget.
And that's where we take our $150,000 for our capital reserve.
Yeah, that transfers in
Okay.
here.
Yes.
And how is that capital reserve used? What's focus? Why do we have a capital reserve?
Right now the capital reserve fund is set up for the fire truck. It just has to be for a purpose of capital. The purpose can change to different capital purposes, but it has to remain capital. So, but right now it's set up for the fire truck because we have the fire truck that we're in the process of purchasing. And so this will be the 3rd year for that. And the other thing that's in here is that's updated is the $16,500 for that includes all of the requests for nonprofit funding from all the nonprofits that we discussed last time. And then
16.5.
yes.
Your comment says it needs to be in the general fund.
Yes, we used to have it in accommodation tax, and that's not technically where it should be because it's not tourism related. So this is just getting us back in line, getting us in line of where that actually should be.
Okay, so it's moved out of the.
It's moved out of
accommodation
accommodation tax
Okay.
into general funds.
Good.
The planetarium technically would be, but the other ones really aren't.
And there was an item that we didn't have before. I think it was life care. That's been added.
Right.
That's
Yes, that's the one
inclusive
that
of it.
added
Right.
and added in.
into the.
What's our
nonprofit.
procedure here? Are we right now then approving those 4 nonprofits by amount and for purpose here?
Yeah, the
think so,
council
yes.
does.
Or is
We-
that done when we approve the overall budget?
If
Well-
you wanted to change them, now would be the time to discuss and change it. As of right now, they're all in here at full amount. If you were wanting to discuss and change those amounts, now would be the time to
Yeah.
do that.
Well, you've already
Yeah,
provided us background.
We already did that in the workshop meeting where it was presented to us what it was, and nobody raised any objections to either any of the nonprofits or any of the intended amounts.
I'm just talking about officially because they're going to hear this, and I'd hate to have them already spend it if we're going to maybe not approve it. So
Yeah, they won't officially have it until July 1st.
Right,
So they
okay.
can't do anything until July 1st.
And we can't increase those. We can decrease them, but we can't increase them, right? Is what you told us before, I think.
Well, we-
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
They've requested what they're saying that they need.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
What did we decide about the council and myself not taking money anymore? Where that goes? That's still in here. Or what was the
I
decision?
didn't think that there was a consensus on where that came to. I mean, I can still change it. This can be changed all the way up
I'm
until.
asking the council.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
not
I thought you were asking me.
no,
I was
not
like, I
you.
don't know that I got clear direction.
What's the deal on that? Where y'all stand
If
on
if we zero out, what's that going to do to our tax returns? Do we still get W-2s that we have to turn in saying we didn't get any money? So that
So-
drops off completely?
I actually have to look at what it is because this also includes
Planning board.
planning board. So it's not this
Yes.
full amount. And I didn't take a deep dive into it because I didn't have I didn't see it.
I have no issue with it, but I would like to hear what the planning board says. Has there been any conversations, even anecdotally, Ms. Anglin, with the planning board?
No, sir. I, as with Tara, didn't get a clear direction of you all wanting to take away any of that for them or you. So we didn't do anything with that number at all.
My recollection of the conversation is that nobody raised any objections to zeroing out our paychecks.
And that's mine also. No one,
Yeah.
no one said no, but I think you've got to check
What
with
did
the
you
planning board,
remember?
obviously.
Do you agree with what Mike just said? I don't know that we've made a
We
point.
haven't
on
made
No,
a
we
decision
didn't.
because
No.
nobody,
No
nobody said
decision.
no.
I know I made a
But nobody spoke up and said, I don't think that's a good idea.
I made an anecdotal comment about my relationship with the fire department,
Yeah.
where I take the place of full-time firefighters on a part-time basis, but I do not claim any hours.
Yeah.
So the town saves money from that, and that
Mhm.
amounted to probably $15,000 last year.
Mhm.
But that's my decision. I do it because I feel that if I want to serve the town, then I don't need to be compensated. But we get paid $6 a day about, which doesn't pay for the gas that I know that we all use. So it's
We're printing an ink.
yeah. So it's kind of an embarrassing thing because if we don't say keep your money, then we appear that we're in this for profit. And obviously, I just need to be clear to people that there ain't
There's
no
no
profit.
Your idea of profit is.
The things we
Limit.
do for a few $100s a quarter. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Another thing to think about: we have elections coming up here in November.
Mhm.
What we do here right now is going to bridge over into another year.
Yeah. That's,
I
they can always change it. The next board can always change it.
Well, but once we've got a budget that has it includes it or doesn't include it, then they need a budget amendment.
Okay. So
Well, it would be up to the council at that time to determine if they wanted to, when they are elected and administered into the oath of office, at that point, they would turn in paperwork to Suzanne, and if they chose not to get paid, then they just don't turn in paperwork. We do have a planning board member that does not take compensation.
So
Oh,
at
Oh, I
this
didn't know
point,
that.
I would like my compensation removed from the budget.
I would agree with that for me.
I also.
Is that the way we do it? We speak for ourselves as opposed to an amendment that would change the whole board?
I've
Y'all
never
basically just looking
experienced
for
the
direction, ain't
situation,
you?
so I'm
What
not
you're
really
looking
sure
for,
how to.
direction,
There,
please.
there's
Correct.
there's no way that we as individual members can make that decision whether we want to get paid or not. And
Well,
and if we
let
do it
me-
individually, we could just leave it to the planning board members they can make up their mind too what they want to do, rather than making it a town policy that council members.
I can
are not-
present it this way. What if I put it in as a half a year? Since we don't really know, it's an election year, and if you budget a half of like 6 months, and you all are opting out as of July 1 of your compensation, then if they opt in, if somebody else gets elected and they opt in, then their money's there. And you're not affecting somebody else that is potentially becoming elected and making their decision for them.
Would they have to
Um,
go on the record publicly to say, I want to get paid?
No.
No.
So they'd have to go
So
on the record
I'm saying
publicly
this
to
is- we're
say they
handling
don't
it.
want to get paid.
No,
Mm-mm.
neither way. And neither are you. So you're saying that you're going to have to go to HR and opt out if we only budget at a half of a year.
Mhm.
Because there's only going to be money for the next council.
Is it enough of a number? I mean, I would agree with what everybody said. No, we don't need to get paid. I don't need to get paid. But I'm wondering how you would budget it. You just kind of explained it. You'd budget for half a year.
Correct.
If then is it such a small amount that it really isn't going to require a whole lot of stuff later on? It's just going to happen.
Yeah, it's just that way it's there, and they don't have to come out into the public and say, you need to pay me.
Okay. All right.
And
Can we speak for Charlie? I guess we can't.
Yes.
you're doing it as a council, so
Yeah,
you're doing
Charlie,
it.
Charlie didn't object to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're budgeting it at
Mayor?
50%, essentially, of council.
You asking me, do I want it?
Yeah.
I'm the one that brought it up, not wanting it.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
just
asking
wanted to
you.
get
It's,
it.
it's, I
Last
didn't know if
year
you
I
were
don't
blowing
think, I don't
smoke.
think anybody
Okay,
should do it,
so-
for
No.
that, and I don't think they are. I'm just saying
Does that
let's
sound-
give that money back to use it for
So we're
something.
going to budget for half a year.
And I didn't realize individually we could come to you and say that, but we could, but that's okay. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. That's
It
fine.
would be
So
HR
budgeting,
that you would be.
so
HR.
talking to.
budgeting for half a year is budgeting for basically the January to July.
Mhm.
And this council is foregoing their pay until after the election.
And that doesn't take place until the first meeting in December anyway.
Yeah, first
so
meeting in December.
Well,
council
the
changes.
one, so,
Yeah.
I mean, the ones that are not up for election are saying that you won't have it for the entire year, or at least 6 months. So it's not exactly 50%, but this is like the easiest way to not
Yeah.
tell somebody else what they're doing. I think.
Exactly. Okay. I
That makes
think-
sense. Good.
How does that affect the workers' compensation in FICA?
It will affect that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So the workers' compensation, it will not.
But again,
So-
it's a pretty small
For-
amount.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
for
just
workers' compensation,
pittance.
you are, it's $30,000 total for workers' compensation. That's how it is. It's audited and it's a set amount.
All right.
Any more questions on the council part?
I know.
Just to be clear, I'm not being really generous to the town because I'm not running for reelection, so I'm only going to be giving up half a year there. So, yeah.
Anything else? All right. Move on to the administration part.
Yeah, the contract services, and we're not asking for anything.
No change in personnel.
Don't you have somebody on one open position?
We are in the process of hiring that position now.
I saw the ad in the Beacon
But-
yesterday. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay,
That position's under finance, though, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, it is.
It's not under admin here. So
Right.
okay.
attorney fees.
And it's
And-
budgeted. It's been
Yeah, that-
budgeted the whole time. It was just vacant.
Okay. So we're retaining an estimated 192,000 for our attorney fees,
Mm-hmm.
which is what we had budgeted last time.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, the good news is we've only used 153. Am I reading this correctly? We've only used 153,000 of it.
To March 1st, yeah.
Yeah,
As of March 1st.
as of March 1st, and we continue to get many reasons to have legal advice and attorneys representing us that come from the outside, not necessarily are internally generated. Although we in the council will do things at times that first need to have attorney review before we can actually do that. So not everything comes from the outside.
Anything else on the administration side?
I'm good.
Moving on to the finance side.
Finance number 6.
And with finance, you have the contract services, which is the accounting software.
Now that's a new software, right?
No.
It's the same one you've been using?
Mhm.
Okay, okay.
How long have we been using BMS?
2017.
17?
17 years?
2017.
I didn't hear it.
And that software, the League of Municipalities with the North Carolina is trying to get most municipalities in the state onto that system. I've actually been working with them, helping them get it put out across the state because it's one of the most user-friendly and the best for small towns
How long have you been working with BMS?
since 2018.
Okay.
Any questions or anything in finance?
Not for me.
No, I'm good.
Where we at now? Belleville.
Just as a point, the STEP program that we're going to talk about later on, the monies that are in here in salaries reflect that.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right, if there's nothing further, we'll move on to the Powell bill and beach erosion.
And
Where are those, please?
17.
we're at
17, all right.
17. With Powell bill, we pretty much budget the 200,000 every year, and then as we go through the list of roads that need to be repaired or looked at, that money then of course would come to you all for that contract would come to you all to award when we get to that point. We are looking at Clubhouse Road now that the bridge is opened. I am in conversation with the developers to find out how much more development they anticipate will be utilizing Clubhouse Road, so that we can somehow judge the the wear and tear on that road. At the same time, our engineers are reviewing and looking at that road and the areas of concern. There are 3 or 4 areas that I'm sure that we will be touching this year. It is a very long road and would be very costly to go start to finish. So we will look at the areas that are and grade those areas as the severity of those and prioritize those to bring to you all to do many of those projects at once. The more projects we could do at once, the cheaper it is, of course, but the whole price tag will determine how we slice that pie.
Just like when we did the work at the park here, we were able to bootstrap some other items, some other streets that weren't at the
Correct.
park, so that we could save mobilization costs on some very expensive pieces of equipment.
Right.
So do we have an overall plan for the town that kind of lays out, the streets that we have and sort of last time they were paved and anticipating next time they're going to need to be paved?
We
Because
do.
Clubhouse Road is one of the newest additions that we have.
Mhm.
But in addition, when Angels Trace annexes in and starts getting built, we'll have all those roads added. That's a future item. Does the Powell bill amount we have go up with all these roads that we're getting?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yes, close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Just by mileage.
By mileage.
And
Yeah.
population.
And what?
And population.
Okay.
Mhm.
There are certainly areas of Clubhouse Road that do not need work. There are, I'd say, half a dozen areas that do need work.
And
And-
it's not like Clubhouse Road is long. Lisa's absolutely correct, but at times it's very, very wide. It has divided highway throughout also. So it's an expensive one. It becomes a
Well,
very, very
we have
expensive-
other streets in the town too that I think should rate higher from a traffic quality standpoint.
Mhm.
And so we can't just, because a developer happens to be wanting the gateway into Sea Trail to look perfect, is not necessarily a reason that should throw all of our Powellville money at that street. There are other roads that are
But
worse.
you look at the other side of it, since the Calabash Bridge was out for that year and a half, 2 years almost, Clubhouse Road has been the shortcut in getting to Calabash, North Myrtle Beach and all that area. And it's gotten much more wear and tear. And I'm not a resident in that area, so much more wear and tear than is normal. But you said working with the developers, I mean, they still have Gulls Landing to finish, Pelican's Reserve that's getting started, and a number of, in the northern end, another number of condo type
Several.
buildings that are anticipated. So there's still going to be a lot of construction in there, at least according to their plan.
I think if you look at Clubhouse Road, the biggest issues, a lot of it, I shouldn't say the biggest, a lot of the issues are east or south of, if you wish, the Gulls Landing.
Yeah.
And that area that is, quote, not where they're going to be building, and probably the trucks won't be coming down that
Yeah.
road because they come in the main entrance. But that particular area, there's a lot of fallout on the sides.
That runs from where the Maples Golf Course is up to the convention center, Old Line
Right.
Road up to the convention center.
Right. And there's a couple of stormwater issues that the developer owner has as well that affects Clubhouse Road. So there's,
Yeah, the one right by the VAC is I'm sure everybody hits that storm drain, and it's, but that is not our problem. By that, I mean, it's not within our stormwater jurisdiction.
right.
And
But it is our road.
Yes.
So we will work in concert with the developer as they repair their stormwater, then we'll repair, the roadway.
And they're going to do that in concert with the permit that they've already applied for the additional condominiums that are right opposite the street from the Village Activity Center.
Correct.
But so that stormwater has to be done by them in concert with their development.
So once we have all that information, and then I'll sit back down with the engineers, and it may be that we patch instead of replacing for the next couple of years to get, Clubhouse drivable. And then once everything is done, then we can come back in with a full replacement.
That's what the Master Association did a number of years ago to get those roads turned over to the town. And you'll notice as you drive there now, you'll see the big patches.
Yeah.
They were patches that were put in by the Homeowners Association back a number of years ago now. But that was for that exact same reason that was done. One more question. We have engineers look over all our roads and sort of prioritize needs. How often do they do that?
Once every couple of years,
Okay.
but we're probably ready for them to reevaluate all of
Okay.
our roadways right
Good.
now.
Yeah, good. There's always needs for roads, that's for sure, and there's always needs for upgrades in roads, so we got to keep up with it.
There's not directly related, but also from a number of citizens who are submitting Sea Trail related, Clubhouse Road related, was a request for putting more streetlights in. Where in our program does installing streetlights come in?
I'll be in contact with the president of the HOA to determine where they would like additional streetlights, and then we will review that and then make recommendation.
Isn't that Brunswick
then
Electric?
who puts them in? Does BEMC
Brunswick
put them in,
Electric.
or do we put them in?
Brunswick Electric
And then
does.
who pays for putting them in?
I think it's $100 to put them in, and then we pay the monthly fee.
Yeah, they're just not very expensive to put them in. What you could also do is they have an engineering group there at BEMC, and you can go right to them and have them review
Mhm.
the lighting along whatever street, and they will review it. They'll make recommendations to you, and they'll give you a cost estimate. So
Mhm.
I have done that with them for it over there and at one point. So, and they were wonderful. They really worked well with us.
So that would be one piece of information we need from the Sea Trail Residents Masters Association.
Yeah,
Or,
well, I would go with look at their requests, but also take those requests to BEMC. They're the
Absolutely.
professionals, they're the engineers that put this stuff in and get what they think would be good light coverage over on
Absolutely.
that street or other streets too.
yeah, I don't recall the applications that they put in for funding to include specific locations.
No,
They didn't.
They
Other
did.
than
No.
Clubhouse Road.
Right,
Yeah.
only Clubhouse Road, yes.
Are there any restrictions regarding lighting because of our
Dark sky
Birds.
policy.
birds and maybe fowl and things like that? Are there restrictions as far as how much lighting can go into any community? In some areas, I know in South Carolina there are, so I wasn't sure if there are here.
I don't think.
Our
I
land-
know we have the dark sky policy,
Our
but I
land
don't
use
think we
plan
have any.
reflects that
Okay.
we should, so people can stargaze and the like, that we need to keep artificial nighttime lighting to a minimum regarding safety and not just to over illuminate things. But it's a very subjective.
Also to impact on turtles during turtle season.
Well, there's not very many sea turtles in Sea Trail.
Well, there's
The-
other parts of the town that get lighting too,
Okay.
that gets
To
affected.
to connect with Michael's question,
Yeah.
they all face. You notice all the road. They all face down now. They all face down, and the new ones they put in, and that's a reason for that to keep the light down and not up in the sky and all that. So
Okay. Just taking care of our little feathered friends.
They sleep at night.
Moving on to our beach erosion fund.
Beach erosion fund, this
Where's
is
that one?
What number, please?
21.
Getting close to the end.
This is the fund that we can use for the repairs and replacements of the walkway.
Mhm.
I actually submitted 3 grant applications yesterday for the 7, 5, and 32 access walkways for those repairs and maintenance for this budget.
Would that be repair and maintenance or just replacing them? Do we know?
I don't, right off the top of my head. It seems like one was a full replacement and the other 2 were repairs.
Okay.
But I can't swear to that, so don't hold me to that.
Question. What is our total accommodation tax income
For beach erosion,
for everything?
700.
700? I
Oh.
have 762.
So this one, so this is the 2%.
Yep.
And it's been pretty consistent. And so we just kind of, the 530 is where we've kept it. If it's above that or we need more than that, we have a fund balance for this. And so it just rolls into the fund balance. And we come to you for the a budget amendment no matter what, because this is always going to have more than what we would, not a budget amendment, I'm sorry. We would always come to you for expenditures out of this fund because it's almost always going to be more than what we would spend without council approval. So, and then it goes into the fund balance for beach erosion. So that's pretty much what that is based on. As far as the accommodation tax, the total that is in here right now, it did change it some, so I don't.
and the beach erosion fund is the restricted fund that we can't use for
Anything
anything else.
Ms. Anglin or Tara, did we investigate whether we thought we would be able to utilize beach erosion fund, because we use it for walkway maintenance? If we could help to underwrite some of the costs of the, I'll call it the First Street beach access, emergency access, that we would carry all the way out to, from the gazebo all the way out
Main
to Main Street. Because that to me seems like it fit the appropriate usage of the beach renourishment fund.
Yeah, that
The-
is something that I needed to look into.
And I think what's going to hang us up on that is the public access, because those emergency accesses will not be publicly accessible. Just like the one at the east end is gated on both ends and is only accessible by our personnel.
Okay,
So I think
get you.
that's the catch that's going to get us on being able to use this fund for those.
thank you.
I think the thing that about new walkways and about our walkways, since they always have to go up and over the dunes, they continually cost more money.
Mhm.
A lot of money extra. Boy, if we could somehow lobby CAMA that we have a beach that receives sand, as opposed to every place else except for one in Alaska, could they let us start cutting through and somehow save quite a bit of money in doing so?
The only problem with that, Mike, though, is if you put them lower, they're going to be more susceptible to
Sand.
beach sand
Yep.
blowing in and having to continually maintain them.
Mhm. You'd have to figure out some way of stopping that, but
The ones where
It's just-
if they exist and we've had to put vertical plywood in, they're a nightmare
Yeah.
to keep up
Oh, yeah.
with.
yeah,
I don't think that'll ever fly.
it's just a difficult thing, because every time we look, it's more expensive to do a beach access than it was the last time you did a beach access, by an awful lot of money.
And they get higher and higher, but we're
Oh.
fortunate there that the dunes
Mhm.
keep growing.
Mhm.
And to maintain that on a regular basis.
And when it comes right down to it, it's going to be a lot cheaper than renourishment of beaches, so it helps us. Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on to the fire. Police, 18 months, start with the fireman.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we got? here?
10.
Hello.
Thank y'all for the good news of no storms this year. I really appreciate that.
Put all your money on it.
All right, you have Richard's budget, you have the contract services for the fire department. And nothing has changed. His-
I'm not sure if we mentioned the iWorks, but this budget year we added on the iWorks, similar to what Carrie's doing, and to be on board with that. So that's that additional fund you see on page 2.
Where's that?
Where's that?
Where is that again?
The
Is that under contract services?
pink and peach page.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, got it. Which one is that now?
iWork. That's
Another set of drawings, Mike, that are different colored.
Okay.
Another set of documents.
yeah, then we gotta find the fire department under there.
Right after police.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
So you're maintaining the manning level, no change, 24 full-time?
not requesting any change this year.
Okay. And then,
But you've got two spots that you're, one spot that you're,
As of this
Still
morning,
vacant.
one spot with the 29th, another assessment. So hopefully we'll be all filled very soon.
so you got 2 vacant right now that you're filling.
One.
One.
One was just filled.
We made a final
Oh,
offer.
you
this-
just, you just,
Final offer was accepted this morning.
oh, okay. So, how are we doing on the fire truck? The one
What's the latest?
that we have ordered?
The
They-
latest news, as you know, we signed the paperwork at 42, 48 months, which would put it at delivery date of 2027.
Wow.
But DC Adams met with a salesman earlier this year, and they've improved the delivery time. So they told us to be ready for a pre-build meeting. So our crew will go up and do the pre-build Q3 of this year. So I'm expecting a delivery date in 2026. Of course, that's not any confirmation of that, but that's what I'm hoping for.
That just means we have to pay for it sooner. But it gets paid off sooner.
Correct.
Yeah.
Pros and cons. But we need the new truck, so we're excited. We're ready for it to be here.
So how do you stand on the rest of your trucks? When do we start talking about another replacement truck? We've got what, 3 of them that we're paying for right now? Two of them?
Two, yeah.
Two.
Yeah, two.
Well, 2 of them that we're paying for, and one of them, this
One
new
in
one that we're
capital reserve.
preparing,
Yeah.
that we're putting money into the pot for.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so to me, that's paying for 3.
How much is left? One of them's a short period, right? One of them's,
Yeah, I would have to. I don't have the number
Okay.
with me, but
well, I know one of them's a short period of time.
I think one of them is getting
Which would
ready
be
to be
good.
paid off this year.
Yeah, I think so.
This year,
Our-
maybe?
Our latest.
Yeah.
That would be excellent.
We kind of, as we plan for that, we plan for one to be gone and then just assume payments on the new one. That's what we kind of,
Yeah.
Tara and I plan for.
Okay. Excellent.
But I think I presented the looking forward page.
Yep.
Ordering a new aerial 27-inch depending on delivery dates, somewhere around there. Starting the process in 2027. That would be the goal, pending your approval.
Yeah, you had 4 to 5 years in advance for the, what do you call it, the aerial apparatus.
And again, we're hoping that the market comes down. We're still coming off COVID with lots of delivery dates. There's some things that's going on currently in legislation about cost of fire apparatus, these crazy delivery times and things like that. So I don't know what the future is going to bring with that, but we're hoping within that time frame, prices begin to settle and delivery dates greatly improve. We hope.
Based on the one truck that we have in production now, and the one that you're expecting in 4 to 5 years, what's the percentage of increase in costs? Would you guess? 50%? 100%?
No, because they're so high. Everything I'm reading and seeing is 5% every year. 5% every year. The aerial, if we choose to go with the more expensive one at the time, Oak Island ordered last year 2.1, something like that. So I think I put in there 2.4, something like that. I don't have that in front of
2.5
me.
you put
It's
in.
just going crazy.
Yeah, 2.5.
It's going crazy.
Okay.
Any more
And
questions?
just to clarify for anybody who's looking, what do we get out of the fire fees? What does that cover? Because we get
So
some pretty good fire fee amounts.
it's good. It increased this year 150-ish.
It almost pays for our personnel, but
Yeah.
not quite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it does not pay for equipment, it doesn't pay for fixed plant, it doesn't pay for the stations themselves. But basically, if you look at salaries and benefits, it pays for probably 90% of that.
Covers that.
Deacon had an article about fire fees for Brunswick County Wednesday.
Yeah, I think last night they released their 4th series of the possibility of a fire tax. So, as you know, there's big conversations through Brunswick County on possibility of a fire tax coming up. So, I'm sure our conversations are going to continue here with that possibility coming up.
With that possibility, how does that affect us moving forward?
We don't know.
Definitely nothing in this budget year, but it's in this budget year, we're going to be having conversations if that comes to fruition.
Mike, what it would do is it would change the way that our citizens and our taxpayers pay for their fire fees, instead of just a fire fee based upon square footage of your heated space within your dwelling, and a set fee for a vacant lot based on acreage. It could go and be based on property value percentage. But this is up in the air. It is not determined.
Yeah, correct. So, you know, as Councilman Larkin stated, this budget's 3.1. We're expected to receive 2.5 for fire fees. So there's quite a bit that we're requesting for council to support out of town taxes. Fire fees are maxed currently, so there's no additional funds we can take from fire fees. The fire tax would give us the capabilities to get all of our funding from what people pay for their fire tax. So there wouldn't be one of the great things about a fire tax is similar to what we do now, and Tara is able to do. She's able to predict what we're expecting is coming. Fire fees, there's a lot of variables in, you know, how much building have we received in the fire district. So, and when are they getting the CO, and when can we expect that money to hit? So the positive about a fire tax is the predictions. So we can better budget, better plan of this growth is coming, this growth is here, and things like that. So these discussions will continue throughout the year as this comes up.
One question on that, would a fire tax include all of our, or it's probably a point of the discussion, all of our fire district, which is significantly bigger than just Sunset Beach?
Depending on what happens.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a possibility for the town, for you to decide if you want to opt out. So the discussion in the county now is, you know, as we consider a fire tax, as Brunswick County considers a fire tax, how is that going to be? Is it going to be one pot that the money is in? So the fire chiefs are currently having this discussion. So will there be one tax rate for the entire Brunswick County? One fire tax rate where the money is into a pot, and then we have to go to Brunswick County and justify our budget and put our requests in? Or is it going to be individual fire districts tax that Sunset Beach will have their own tax rate similar to the board now? They would choose where we need to be as far as, you know, percent. So there's a lot of variables there. Sunset Beach could always opt out of that if they don't want the money that's generated in Sunset Beach to go to other parts of Brunswick County. So that's going to be tough decisions to make when it comes to that point.
And
A lot to be determined.
A lot to be
Yeah.
determined.
a fire tax is going to hit a lot of citizens pretty heavy if compared to other.
This is very common across the whole state.
I know.
This is extremely controversial.
A lot of citizens will benefit greatly from a fire tax. If their property value is not quite as much, because currently right now it's based on square footage, not property value. So, you know, so a quick thing, if you have a 1,000 square foot home, that's just a generic number worth 150,000 tax value, you pay currently right now the same as a oceanfront home if they have the square footage that's property values in the millions. So pros and cons of that. Pros and cons.
Tara, I had lobbied during our last meeting for an adjustment in what we were going to be planning on as income from fire fees. Am I reading this correctly, under the general fund revenue that you have agreed with my $2.6
Yeah, I
million
adjusted
number?
it because they are automatically reducing theirs, and so I adjusted it up because their projection from last year is different.
Well, we've
So I-
always gotten more,
Yeah, so
significantly
I
more.
I've adjusted it up to that.
Which is only like a 3.6% increase, I believe, over what, because what the county was providing us was the revenue from the past fiscal year that we're in right now, which was 2.5 and change, 2.520 or something. And I was advocating for, obviously, there are going to be more homes. There are more homes already than
Yeah.
what is in that number.
So they
So-
don't take into the fire fees don't take into consideration any new discoveries, whereas when you go through the county taxes, they take into consideration new discoveries.
And we don't have any issue, Chief, in spending that money within the fire department, because likewise, those, just like with the planning, they can't be spent outside of the fire department.
Correct.
But it's,
Correct.
thank you.
Yeah, the point is you did raise our estimate for fire fees being come into the town. Okay.
Anything else on this?
I'm good.
Yep.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next up, please.
It's 9.
Here we go. No.
Okay, you have the contract services for the police department list. And nothing else on their budget has changed.
So we're continuing with 20 full-time police, and your one personnel is to create a captain position, but do that in-house so it still remains at 20 full-time without adding additional bodies. Am I reading that correctly?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
So not the way I read it.
So we have 19 full-time police officers now and one full-time administrative assistant. That's where we get 20 from.
Okay, that's
So it'll be
counts
an
twice.
it'll be an additional body.
so your number will go up to 21
Correct.
total. Okay. Is this a position, as a captain level position, something that's promoted from in-house, or do you go out and advertise and recruit outside and then do competitive?
That'll be determined after.
The position's created.
Yeah. That's not a discussion that we would have here. That would be something that they would determine later with HR.
Oh,
But if they did it
Okay.
from within, it would still add a person, because you'd then
Right.
hire somebody
You
to
backfill.
backfill the position that was vacated. So that's up to the department to
so
decide
change that. It
how
could be
best to
either
do
one of
that.
those,
Correct.
how
Right.
that's being done. All right.
So Ken, the captain's position now, for people listening and so on, what's the need, and what's the need for?
So as we grow and as we continue to have additional responsibilities placed upon us, including list, one of the things for sure that position's going to do is oversee the patrol division and give their, I don't want to say 100%, but probably 90% of their attention to the patrol division, which now that is split between the assistant chief and me. And we need somebody that's going to be able to give it a lot more attention than what we're able to do, being torn in 100 different directions. Someone to supervise the beach operation. I'm interested in
state accreditation for the department, which first includes going through a risk management assessment, and then the state accreditation follows that. Just to get through that it's a lengthy process just to get through the risk management portion, and I just don't have the time to dedicate to that because it pulls me away from other things that I have to do. So that captain's position, I would task that officer with working on both the risk management and the accreditation as well.
So what does that state accreditation do for us?
We get a plaque. What it does is when you go through, quite simply, that's what we quite simply, when you go through the risk management, they look at a bunch of different tiers. They look at our policies, our procedures, our facilities, our training, and make sure that it's safe, that it's in line with other agencies. Then we go through the accreditation. Once you're through the risk management, I'm told that that's probably 65-70% of the process. Continuing on through accreditation, then it recognizes you as an agency in the state that has met the standard to be state accredited. Again, by looking at policies, procedures, our way of doing business, it ensures that we're following best practices in the state of North Carolina with providing law enforcement services to our residents.
Does that have any impact on insurance?
The risk management does, yes. So that's the League of Municipalities. So as long as we're working on that, we still qualify for a reduction. And I believe once we have it, we would get another reduction. Don't quote me on that, but it does help with our rates.
And that's community insurance rates or just town insurance rates?
I don't have the answer for that. I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared to answer that today.
Well, I just thought of that question.
Sure.
Chief, do you have enough room back here for, I guess I'm giving you an opportunity to lobby, but do you have enough room back here for a captain's? Obviously, a captain can't sit in the hallway and do their
Sure.
job.
We have 20 pounds of stuff in a 10-pound bag on that side of the building. So no. The gym is something we're eyeing up. The Sally Port is something we're eyeing up. None of those are asked, or our budget asks for this year. But we're going to make do with what we have for the time being. You might see an ask for some sort of remodeling in the next budget year, but it won't be this year.
You think remodeling will do it?
We're going to lose something, but it'll be a quick fix. Like I said, if we take the gym over, then we lose the gym. We take the Sally Port over, we lose that. So there's nowhere else to go. So we're running out of room.
Put a tent in the parking lot.
We could, yeah.
Or an extension cord.
Why not?
You can always think of
gym.
working from home.
Working from home. I'll volunteer
Just
that.
save space.
I'll do that.
Yep.
No, I wish. We'll make it work. We had the uniformed detectives were splitting an office, and we'll make it work.
Are you presently advertising for filling any vacancies that you have?
I have 2 vacancies currently, 2 patrol vacancies.
Are you advertising for them?
We are. Yeah, I have a couple applications now. We're going to wait and let the ad run its course and see what else we get, and then we'll start interviewing. Hopefully within 2 weeks. We had an unexpected resignation by somebody that accepted a position somewhere else, and his last shift was last night. 6 a.m. this morning was, and he's changing his status, so he's going from full-time to part-time.
Good news.
So he'll fall
Always
into the
comes in the
part-time
morning.
ranks, but he'll be able to support us still in a part-time capacity, but we'll lose that full-time position.
At least you're
It's-
keeping the experience, but
Right.
losing the
Yeah.
medication.
Is there sort of any explanation? Is he going to a higher paying police job or is he changing career paths?
His explanation was 100% money, and he is leaving the police profession to make more money elsewhere. And that, if anything, speaks volume for what Ms. Swinney is going to come up here and talk about with the STEP program.
Yeah.
When we have police officers walking away from their jobs so that they can go make more money in the private industry, that's not good.
Oh, firefighters are doing it every day.
They
too,
are,
so
I
it's-
know.
And so
So-
are teachers and so on.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah. So you're requesting 4 vehicles. Am I reading that right?
That's
This
correct.
time. This time. One of the things I'd like to point out is that the long-term police capital apparatus replacement plan, which goes out to 2030, projects life expectancy of the vehicles based on usage and averages and how we manage it. And this time you're requesting 4 vehicles, and the estimate coming out was 4 vehicles, and it shows the plan is working. And then we take these used vehicles, take all the police equipment out, and then you put them up on
Gov deals.
the Gov
deals.
deal site
And Councilman Corbett too,
Yeah.
to highlight, last year, I think the police asked for less than their replacement.
Yeah.
Was allotted.
Yeah.
So
So one of the reasons, one of the aspects, one of the things we have in this department is once a police officer gets through their probationary period, I think that's the terminology, they are then eligible to get a vehicle assigned to them that they take home and take care of. And how does that program work in terms of officer satisfaction, maintenance of the vehicles, life cycle of the vehicles, and stuff like that?
I could spend a lot of time talking
Well,
about
the
this.
short answer,
I'll
please.
give you the short answer. Once an officer's through field training, that's when
training,
they're
right.
assigned a vehicle. Probation's a year. Field training is roughly 3 months,
Okay.
give or take, depending upon their level of experience that they bring to the town. If they're within a 20-mile radius of the town's outermost territorial jurisdiction, and that's straight line distance, they're eligible to take a car home. We currently have 1 employee that's outside of that does not qualify for the take-home program. And we make sure that we tell people coming in, if they're outside of that, we don't get their hopes up that they're going to be able to take a car home. It's worked out well because, as I'm sure you know, if you have to share a piece of equipment or a vehicle with somebody else, you may not take care of it quite as well as what you did if it was your own. So if you got in a car and there was some things left behind or some dirt on the floor and you said, I didn't put that there, I'm not cleaning it. Whereas if it's yours, you said, all right, well, I made that mess, I'm going to clean it up. It's a representation of the officer. It's also byproduct is a representation of the town. So they take better care of it. They wash it, they wax it, they polish the tires. It looks good. It makes the town and the police department look good. You can see from how the program has went since I think we instituted this in 2018 when I first came to the Carolinas. We anticipated a 3-year replacement cycle, and we're wholly outlasting that by the way that these vehicles are being taken care of, by the way that they're being driven. As far as terms of officer satisfaction, there is not an agency in the county, I believe, that does not have a take-home car program. Maybe some of the smaller ones, Navassa, Bald Head, of course, doesn't. But for the most part, every agency has those take-home vehicles, so it adds to the benefit, if you will. The officer doesn't have to drive their own vehicle back and forth.
So it would hurt recruiting if we didn't have that.
It certainly would.
Okay.
Got a question for Tara. On the gov deals, obviously we sell these vehicles and the money comes back to us. Where does it appear in the documents that you've got in front of us?
In the
The estimated, because
in
you'll
the
never know how
revenue.
much.
So we don't typically estimate revenue on those. I don't usually know exactly what they're surplusing ahead of time. So typically what our practice has been is as they sell it's hard to say what condition the vehicles are in that they're selling as
Like I said,
well.
they're great condition.
So or what people decide that they're going to pay for it. So we don't typically budget for that upfront, and as it comes in, we can do like a budget amendment for it, or it would go back into the general fund as that money comes back into the fund balance. It just depends on how council feels about how they want to use that, but it's in the revenue line is considered sale of surplus.
Okay,
There's a specific line for it. is set aside.
Thank you.
So we don't establish that money it can be spent or should be spent within that same department,
We try to do that.
but it's not fixed. We don't,
It doesn't have to
if
be.
they sell a police car and Public Works needs something, you could,
Yeah, I mean, historically, what I've done is gone to that department and say, you know, is there anything that you need? Do you want to go to council for? Because in order to use that revenue, we would come to you and do a budget amendment
even if it's under a certain amount.
because it's not in the budget.
Gotcha. Okay, that's the key I needed to know then. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I would raise that revenue by that amount of what they need and then raise the expenditure for it.
Got it.
That was like with the UTV. Was it UTV?
Mhm.
Yeah. That you all needed. And then there was some other things I had reached out to other departments. And if they had needed something at that time, that they had sold some things and let them know, you know, you're bringing in some revenue. Do you want to go to council for these things that you needed? So that may be coming. I'm not sure yet. But
It's a good idea.
it's a good tool for the departments to have.
Well, it's motivation to
Yes.
get these things online, get them sold. So
Yes.
Okay,
I'm good.
Thank you.
bye.
Very good.
One thing that I might do,
Oh.
it's not going to change the bottom line, but I had a conversation with one of the camera vendors, Flock Safety. I put in for 2, may change that to 3, but it would just adjust what we'd get from Verkada, so the bottom line would not change. I don't know if that changes anything you'd need to do on your end, because those are in 2 separate lines, because there's a contract service for Flock, but if we reduce this number down here,
No, it's
that would be
within,
my
it's
plan.
within your budget.
just so that the LPRs would cover the 3 main points to get into the town. That was my thought. And I have a grant pending for 4. So that could offset too.
Thank you, sir.
We can always
Anything else?
adjust.
For sure.
Does the state accreditation that you're talking about, does that add weight or points when you go for grants?
It does.
Mhm.
Yeah, it sure does.
So there's a benefit there.
Mhm.
when we get in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to
Thank you,
the
gentlemen.
accommodations
much.
tax. We'll do the beach rescue first.
Mayor, if I can, our newest department, the Parks and Recs department, we skipped over that. It wasn't added to the agenda. I apologize for that. Can we back up and
Go
look
ahead
at
and
the
do it.
Parks and Rec? and
Which tab?
It
Park and
is
Rec.
number 8.
Let me see, I got comments on this.
You're not forgotten, Amy.
Thank
You
you.
were forgotten, that's all. All right.
And just, one last look to make sure that you're good with everything that Amy has proposed and brought forth for you all to consider.
One thing that I did change on here that you'll see in your new sheets, somebody had made, I think it was Mr. Poswell had made the suggestion with the selling of the promotional, or there was some like promotional stuff and
Yeah.
the selling of the calendars to have that in general fund. That actually made sense. And so I actually moved those out of accommodation tax into the general fund because that's where the revenue would come in for those. So those are not in accommodation tax. Those are in general fund now instead. So with this being new, there's going to be a little bit of back and forth, but that I did move that stuff over to the general fund. So that was 15,000
Mhm.
for all of that altogether that I did remove from one and put it into the other.
And Amy, this is what you wanted, right? We didn't make any adjustments to what you requested. So.
No, I think that was the only change that was made.
And the Christmas stuff, is it still in this budget even though it'll be paid?
Yeah, so that's also in the general fund because the donation would come in to the general fund and then the expenditure would.
In regards to those donations while we got this up. Who does the checks need to be made out to? Because I've already had some people reach out to me about that. So
Yeah.
just need to be made out to the town of
Yeah.
Sunset Beach. Does it need to be notated at the bottom?
Yes.
Christmas. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And we're still looking at about 10. Is that what we need?
That would be,
Okay.
that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone have any questions?
I do not.
I am good.
Looking forward to the calendar.
I'll do it right
With
this year.
boxes.
With boxes.
I know. I know. Boxes. I'm on the boxes.
That takes
We
care
can
of
look
that.
at her
You want to do her
accommodations.
accommodations tax while she's here? Go ahead and get that.
And the same change, I removed the same part from this side. And then also I removed the cleaning services from this, the contract portion of this.
Anybody got any
Okay,
questions?
where
in regards
did you
to
just
accommodation
switch to?
tax?
She's on 20.
We're in
Still
Parks and Rec.
Recreation, this one.
Here's your promotion.
I know I think I already asked you this, Tara. The new sheets that were in my mailbox, I can discard them because you gave us new sheets at the
Today.
dais here this morning.
Yes.
Okay, because I've got so many.
Yeah, I gave the new sheets this morning. There was conversation. We haven't gotten to the revenue, but there was some adjustments to the revenue side from conversations that had happened.
That's fine. I'll just discard them
Yeah.
and that makes it easier. Thanks.
Any questions in regard to this, Ms. Amy?
And then I will say, while you're in the accommodation tax portion, I didn't make any changes to the other two, the beach patrol or the beach rescue. Those I'm pretty sure they're exactly the same. They are.
Is everything the same? We could go ahead and do that, all three of them then. Has any questions on any three of these?
I do not.
No, I don't.
Beach erosion.
I think it's very positive how we've separated it out because it almost was a grab bag before. We knew how much we could project to be in it, which was a guess anyway.
Yeah.
And then people were pulling from it. It makes us plan, so this is great.
Yes.
Nobody have any questions?
No.
All
No,
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Fire
Amy.
chief, y'all finished it. We won't have to call you up for this accommodations tax because we just handled it all right here. Since there was no changes, I think council is where they need to be with it.
Yeah.
So we'll move on now to the nonprofit organizational charts.
Is that
Y'all have
And
anything
you
on
did
that?
that.
Huh?
Yeah, you
And
did that.
you've done that in the town council.
Okay,
We
so
already
that
did
was
it.
covered. All right. STEP program.
Slow down just a second. What have we done?
The nonprofit grant,
Nonprofit grants.
Okay.
we took
Discussed that
care of
during
that
that
during
while
the town
ago.
council
Yeah.
And it's
budget.
14.5.
Yep. Got it.
No, 16 to
16.5.
2.
I just want to make sure I knew what we were
No, you're good.
declaring already taken care
All
of.
right.
You're good. You don't get paid anymore,
Move
but
to
you're
STEP
good.
program.
So we're gonna ask Suzanne to join us now, just with an update of the STEP program. That you've all heard of this, 3 or 4 times now, in depth. All of the adjustments for the STEP program to, bring up to the level where we are competitive with police and fire and all of our other positions is included in this budget, in addition to longevity, switching from a bonus program to a longevity program. And we've also included another piece into the STEP program, which is a training module. So that has been added to we put it in administration, right?
Yes.
Into the administration training line that will go along with that program as well. And I'll let Suzanne take it if she wants to
Cole,
elaborate any more.
We don't have a
if you have
sheet
any
here
questions.
that's going to summarize any of that. It's been integrated into each of the departments already.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so this is an overview.
This is
COLA's
Okay.
included in this.
COLA, a 3% COLA is
Okay.
included. Mhm.
And just to reiterate what we've already talked about, and you've had the presentation on what the STEP program is, the training portion of that was already integrated in that, because if you'll remember, the STEP program actually gives the training plan for that next level or those next levels for advancement. The training module that they're speaking of here is with NeoGov, and NeoGov has different modules of software basically that will assist with, they have an HRIS system, which is an HR integration system that can integrate with payroll if you want that type module. But specifically, I was looking at the module, which is for training. And there's about 1,600 different training sessions within that module of all different, they're all labeled from environmental to the required safety training that we have to do annually and should be doing annually. It's a lot of leadership courses. There's courses that can be used with Public Works as far as their safety, their hazard communication, things like that. So again, about 16 different modules. It can be used townwide. It's all cloud-based, so everybody that has access to a computer, and actually they can even do those sessions on their phones. So that's a big advantage for us. So that's what the additional portion of that is, but it all goes back again to the STEP program as a whole. And I have developed a policy for that, which is 3 different parts for that plan. It's the salary plan as a whole. It's the salary grade plan, which we've already talked about that, where people fit within those job titles. That's something that's done across the board with all municipalities, and it's done in private industry. We've already had that in place. And then the STEP pay plan, which has been introduced. And then the third part of that is the longevity. So those 3 parts are what makes up the whole program.
And you put that together now to go where? In policy?
That will
Yes.
be the initial policy. It's in draft form. I still have to get it reviewed by all the administrators, and then we'll pass it to you for review.
Thank you. Thank you. Sounds good.
I've got I guess maybe a very broad question. Councilman Posdel just asked, is the 3% COLA already in our salaries and
yes.
benefits? And the answer is yes. We're going to be compared with other towns this year on July 1st or whenever we pass this budget. And I don't know of another town that is doing it in the same manner that we are with the STEP program all of a sudden. So it's going to be announced that, Island XYZ has a 3% COLA and a 2.5% merit, or something like that. So we're going to be compared to a 5.5% increase. Is there a way for you, and I know that this is different, some people within our town, because of their very unique situation as to longevity, as to position within a certain ranking or job title, are going to see more, and some are not going to see as much. Is there a number that you can give us that would, and I guess I'm looking at Tara, that would give us a overview, if we go with exactly how we have here, that it would equate across the board to, let's say, a 5.5% increase, or that the STEP would give us 2.5% over, in addition to the 3% COLA that we've already got integrated?
Can I just, with Councilman Larkin, I think if we could take what the base salary was before we applied all the STEP program and the COLA, and then find out what that is now,
Right.
and subtract it to come out with a percentage that's going to be pretty close to what it would be.
Right.
And although we can always, I don't know if everybody gets COLA.
Yes.
Even the
Yeah.
people
All
at the
full-time.
max.
Part-time.
Okay, then
Yes.
that's easy, makes it even much easier.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And we also have people that get longevity, that get significant longevity because it's retroactive longevity. If you've been with the town for 17 years, you're not starting on year 1 now. You get 17 years. You get the amount that you would get after 17 years of longevity. I guess I don't want to say the dangerous thing here, but the difficult thing here is that some of our employees are going to do better than others because of their situation this first year. How politically, how do we deal with that? Is that something that's up to the department managers to have a sit down with that employee and explain what is going on and why, they're getting a 3% COLA, but they're only getting like a 1% bump in pay?
The step rate going up? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
We have some employees that are going to be in that exact situation. So when we raise the base, our entry level police officer now is 47.1 ish. We're raising the base to 52. So depending upon where you're going to fall in the classification that you're in, whether you're police officer 1, 2, or 3, you'll get a pay bump. So yes, in some instances, there's employees that have been here for a while that are already in grade that aren't going to see a bump at all. And then there's employees who are making 47,000 are going to get that bump to 52. And there are situations where if you take a 20-year patrol officer and you add monies that person's entitled to get, and then you have a newer supervisor, their pay may be very similar or even off kilter. The time and rank is what's causing it. Am I explaining that correctly?
I think so.
Anything you want to add?
I think so. So similar to Chief's, again, this was draft number 17. We've been working with Ms. Sweeney for months on how do we do this. We each have people that's 1-year employees and 20-year employees. So it's really hard to do at a cost-effective measure, and we feel like we've found that with this program that benefits everyone. And again, different levels, different people. Some people benefit from this greatly, some not so much. However, in each program there are incentives, and that's what I've put a lot of focus in. Excuse me, incentives that they can work towards to hit that goal and be incentivized at a later point in time. So that's the beauty of it, in our opinion.
So there is going to be communication between department heads and individual employees to explain the program so that people don't all of a sudden say, boy, this sucks.
There will
Excuse me,
have to
but-
be some communication, and with what we have in the planning process that shows employees by name and where they're at and what they would stand to make or not make, that's a pretty good representation that we can show them and explain to them why that situation is as it is. We did look at, in one of the iterations that we did, of going retroactive with everything that we had in the step plan. And just for one department, it was over $200,000. It was a number that we just realistically knew that we could not ask the town council to absorb. So as the chief mentioned, this was the most financially responsible way that we could incentivize our employees, bring their pay up to a competitive range with local municipalities, and not break the budget at the same time.
Question. You mentioned the base pay. Base pay across the board has been raised. Is that correct? In all the step programs. And then for each step in the program that we have different grades, different categories of officers, did the base at those levels all get raised also? Okay. And so how about the range from minimum to maximum that one can make in each one of those grades, that also got adjusted up?
So
to
we
go
have a minimum,
Yeah.
and a mid,
Yeah.
and a max.
And those also changed in accordance with changing
yes.
the base levels. Now, if somebody was at the mid-level point previously in whatever grade he was, and those raised some percentage, do they get a raise in the middle? So there are no raises taking place until we get to the point where they're getting the longevity. Is that correct?
The longevity and the COLA.
And the COLA.
And the longevity is a bonus.
Yeah.
It's not a boot. It's
Yeah.
not a bump.
Yeah,
It's
unless
a-
they get
it's a
promoted to
annual.
another grade.
Right.
Yeah, when they get promoted up within the department. And that's within the departments to do that.
Reviews that to do.
Okay.
Grady was got
Yeah.
the door unlocked.
Okay.
He already went around the front.
So I think just for public purposes, the idea that we did this is because we had some major concerns of our competitiveness to recruit people into our departments and retain people in the departments. And so those are two of the priorities that you had presented to us as what this program does. And it's recruiting, retention, employee engagement, their skill development, which comes through the training, and succession planning. So they know where they're going, they know what's going to happen next, and they can see what their career path and their future is. And the main objective of all of this is to maintain our competitiveness to get and keep good people within the town. And so it'll cost us some money to do that, but retaining the people after recruiting is in the long run much less expensive than recruiting somebody at that cost, training them, get them going, get them proficient, and then they leave to go someplace else, and we have to do that again and start that process because it's a major investment that we make in each individual. So, yeah. So I think it's a good program. Thank you very much for doing this, and hopefully it achieves our objectives and helping with our retention. We're not going to be able to stop a police officer from getting out and going someplace where he can double his money or whatever, but there are significant businesses that they could go into. It's a security for a major company someplace.
Right.
Yeah.
I think one of
Thank
the great points to pull out of this too is that it gives a really clear, good direction for the employees of how to get to their next point, to their next place in the town as well, and in their career of where they're headed. And then also, I want to commend both the police chief and the fire chief for being so fiscally responsible with this and with their staff. I mean, with your employees, you want to do everything that you possibly can for them, and they took all of that into consideration, and also the taxpayers' money, and so they really did a lot of work on this, and the product really is impressive.
Yeah.
So
I have been
Thank you.
impressed with just listening to the department heads, especially these two gentlemen and,
Yeah.
and Matthew, about their enthusiasm for this program and the
Yeah.
hope they have for the future of bringing in good people, maintaining good people, having people stay in Sunset Beach, work in Sunset Beach, and grow in Sunset Beach. So I've been really impressed with that and talking to them. And I want to thank Suzanne for what she has done.
Yeah.
You two, what you've done. I think it's a good program, and I look at their enthusiasm and say, this could be great for the town. So, thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, may I make a motion?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the budget as presented.
Can I make one comment first? Is it okay with you?
Yeah, discussion after a motion.
You don't,
Well, I can do
you
that
can't
after
approve
motion.
budget.
you can't approve the budget today.
Pardon?
You can't approve the
Can't
budget.
approve
today.
We have to at least have a consensus to say go to this to our budget hearing, right?
Right. We don't need to do a motion to get a consensus. We just need to, and we pretty much have a consensus by as we've gone through each page, and you've pretty much approved
Questions, yeah.
Yes.
No.
where
Yeah,
we're
so
going.
Okay.
Well, I'll bring this to you as a final draft at the May meeting.
Yes. Mike, what's your comment?
A couple of years ago, when we had reevaluation and we had concerns, obviously, from a lot of our taxpayers, we put together as a council a document. The document sort of looked at taxes, sort of looked at major items that the town should look for, that a citizen should look for in our budgets. 4 areas we really brought out. These 4 areas we really brought out. The first was fund balance, our fund balance. We have kept on an average of more than 75% of our yearly budget, and this is based on the North Carolina Government Commission and North Carolina School of Government. We have kept a fund balance of nearly 75% of the yearly budget year after year. And for those who are interested in that, fund balance is meant to be a form of savings account for the town, with the major purpose of guaranteeing monies are available for future emergencies, unforeseen events, unexpected opportunities to avoid short-term borrowing, and to use funds to protect the town's credit rating and to increase investment income. This is good, and this budget reflects that. This budget does reflect that, so that's positive. The second thing was North Carolina School of Government recommends that municipalities should collect property taxes equal to at least 40% to 50% of their yearly budget expenditures. Since these taxes are the most reliable sources, these are your ad valorem taxes, are the most reliable resources. Okay, that's awfully important to have also. And we are this year are around 41, 42%, something like that. So that's also excellent moving forward with the new budget. The third thing was, of course, we set up a capital reserve 2 years ago. And again, we're going to put $150,000 in our capital reserves. And that's a great sign for a good budget, having a capital reserve fund. And fourth is identifying long-term investment objectives labeled the strategic plan. This is the one thing, the other three are just fantastic. This is the one thing, we have a lot of ideas here, what we want to do in the future. I would recommend, and we don't have to approve this or anything, my thoughts, just I would recommend that in the future, we've got a town administrator who has a lot of ideas of things to do in the future. And we kid her a lot, but boy, does she have some great ideas as we move forward. And maybe in the future, get a couple of councilmen with our town administrator to put together a strategic plan, listing those things which we should look for in the future in order to make Sunset Beach even a better place, and our town government even a better thing than it is now. So anyway, just some thoughts. But boy, those three things, we're right there again where we should be, according to those different groups in the state, and we should be pretty proud of that. So thank you to this budget.
I've got a quick comment, and then we need to adjourn to closed session. One thing I wanted to say is the job that Suzanne has done, Ms. Sweeney has done, is remarkable. We see right now how important it has always been for us to have a human resources department, a director, particularly somebody that knows what they're doing. And we just fell on this. We so appreciate, council so appreciates what you have done, and our employees, I'm sure, do, and they'll see that. Thank you. Second thing, Tara, what an unbelievable job you do to keep us straight. You answer every question we have. I don't like the answer sometimes, but what a remarkable job you've done. I don't want to say on a part-time basis, but not being here full-time. It's spectacular. Thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn into, are we adjourning the meeting, or are we just?
We'll adjourn this one and we'll start a new one.
Okay, we adjourn this meeting.
Got the motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.